tonight. Police are investigating the cause of a fire that killed 11 children at Salama School of the Blind in Chisoga, Mukono district.
So even the one who is not working in the factory will also get money from this factory by selling in the shop.
President Museveni says his government will continue creating a conducive environment for investors to spur the economy.
There are also other flies that is spread in Uganda.
Plus, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries announces plans to spray the flies that have infested several national game parks in Uganda.
A quick restart by Captain Peace Lekuru.
And in sports, the women's national rugby 15s team have defeated Zambia 36-17 to win their first game of this year's Rugby Africa Women's Cup. Hello and welcome to the program. This is CTV's PM edition. My name is Benedetta Pio. Also on the program is Isaac Lochamuzi. We start on a sad note. Grief and shock have engulfed a Salama village in Chisoga, Mukono district after the death of 11 children at a Salama School for the Blind. The police are yet to establish the cause of the fire. Investigations are ongoing to establish circumstances that led to the fire outbreak.
Some residents rushed to the school and tried to extinguish the mysterious fire that engulfed one of the dormitories at Salama School for the Blind. The residents were able to rescue 6 children who had severe burns and rushed them to hospital. 11 children were not able to escape. All the victims were visually impaired children. Kampala Metropolitan Police spokesman Patrick Onyango confirmed the death of the 11 children. He says they're investigating the cause of the fire.
We took the bodies to Mulago City Mortuary for postmortem, and after the postmortem, when the doctors have done their part, they are free to go and pick the dead bodies. And I know before the end of the day, they would have finished doing the postmortem. This moment, we cannot say or know what is the cause of fire, but the investigations are ongoing to determine the cause of fire.
The school head Francis Chinubi, who is also visually impaired, was in shock. He was being supported to walk. Chinubi says the school was scheduled to hold Princess Anne from the UK on Friday.
Last Wednesday, we received police from London to come and sweep this place, to come and survey the place. There were 8 men accompanied by 1 military policeman from our forces here.
Some survivors said they had an explosion before the fire spread in the dormitory. Parents whose children survived the fire were seen taking their children home.
Kubasikiddwayo mwe mulina ono wange Silivia Namugerwa era musanzeewo nga yeebase nga mulamu bulungi era kati mutwala waka.
N'ekikolwa kino nkivumirira nnyo era nvumirira eyakikoze ekikolwa ekyatuuseewo n'ensaasira bazadde bannange abaafiiriddwa abaana mu kitalo nnyo okufiirwa abaana baffe.
Scene of crime police cordoned off the school to piece together evidence that could lead them to the suspected arsonist. Brigadier Damulira Serunjoji, the Director of Crime Intelligence in Uganda Police, and Major General James Birungi, the Chief of Military Intelligence in the UPDF, were at the scene.
If we knew, then it wouldn't have happened, isn't it? So now that it has happened, then we didn't know. And it's the reason we have come here to discuss all this, so that we can investigate the bottom to actually get the real cause of this incident.
Mukono District Chairman Reverend Peter Bakulaba Mukasa and Dr. Joyce Kaduchu The State Minister for Primary Education also rushed to the school.
Under this government, we'll want to see a befitting burial for our own dear learners, that we didn't expect them, they have not met their potential, whatever the dreams they have in future. So they are going to have a decent burial with the support from government of Uganda.
Hope Nyongereza, CTV, PM edition.
Quite tragic. May the souls of the departed rest in eternal peace. Moving on, President Yoweri Museveni has vowed to continue creating a conducive environment for investors to continue investing in the country. The president says he is ready to grant subsidies on power and create a railway system to ease transport. Take a listen.
President Yoweri Museveni was in Njeru-Buyikwe district to officially open the Modern Tiles factory under the Modern Group, which will aid in the production of 40,000 tiles per square meter every day, making it the largest tile manufacturing factory in East Africa. In his speech, Ahish Monpra, the director of Modern Group of Companies, revealed that they have so far invested over $150 million. However, they still face a challenge of high electricity tariffs.
As a group, we are already paying 12 billion shillings in taxes to Uganda Revenue Authority per year. This will expand as we implement our ongoing and future investments plans. For this factory, our only request is to benefit from 0.5 cents kilowatt per hour.
During the opening of the factory, the president spoke out against leaders who block investors from coming into the country.
The farmers will sell their products. That's how the business grows. So those who don't see that, video will never say.
The president also vowed to continue supporting investment by granting subsidies to investors.
And we are going to rationalize the whole chain, transport chain. Because I was talking to Ashish, this business of using rail trucks to bring raw materials from Mombasa or from Tanga to Uganda is not a smart way.
Both the Minister of State in the Office of the Vice President and Buyikwe District Woman MP Diana Mutasingwa and the Minister of State in charge of Investment Evelyn Anite today thanked the President for his role in encouraging investment.
The investments being created by the investors here are long-standing, capable of outliving the lives of the founders. This has created employment opportunities to the youth within Buyikwe District to curb unemployment.
When you incentivize the Kapeka Industrial Park, the Goodwill ceramic tiles, and when you visited and commissioned that Goodwill ceramic tiles, that just opened the door for us to have ceramic tiles factory.
Other leaders also welcomed the investment. Modern Tiles Factory will also be accompanied by more than 1,000 retail outlets and over 250 dealers across the country.
In Parliament, traders who formerly worked in Uganda and South Sudan have accused the former State Minister for Planning, David Bahati, of incorporating ghost traders on the government compensation list of those who were affected by the 2014 insurgency. These allegations were made by traders who were interfacing with the Trade Committee of Parliament.
Issues of complex across the...
While presenting the assessment that was done by the Office of Land Governor of IGAD between 2020 and 2021, youth employment, country border disputes, poor governance, mismanaged electoral processes, extreme climate conditions, and gender-based violence, among others, are the leading causes of land conflicts in the region.
Extreme climatic conditions in the region, inter-country cross-border disputes, violent extremism and terrorism, militia groups, the media question, minerals, natural resource-based disputes, proliferation of small arms and light weapons, livestock rustling, migration and human trafficking, the effects of COVID-19, gender-based violence, and violence against the vulnerable groups. At the time, desert locusts was an issue, extreme poverty and income inequality, police brutality was also an issue, impaired judicial systems. However, from the 21...
The assessment also indicated that although member countries have tried to put in place measures to control the disputes, challenges like land grabbing, lack of access to justice and abuse of power are rampant.
Land governance issues, especially those that have generated conflicts, are legally challenging. The legal owners of land have been people with proximity to power and wealth. These legal challenges are confronted with rampant cases implicating murder, boundary conflicts, and influential individuals, accumulation of land through illicit practices and abuse of power, ownership due to lack of land registration and land ownership between the state and province owners, private owners. Land issues have been noted, politicized, and militarized, especially when it comes to the eviction process. With all this, the heightened disgruntlement of affected people results in violent confrontations. The absence of clear property rights, climatic distortions, and social norms have also perpetrated cattle rustling, for example, in the 70% of the IGAD region.
According to the 2020 report by the Commission of Inquiry Report into Land Matters, the Commission noted that whereas the courts of law are the principal formal mechanism for land dispute resolution, the administration of land justice is complicated. The complication is caused by the existence of various centers of power like RDCs, local councils, President's office, Parliament, ministers, among others, which all participate in resolving land wrangles. This, according to the report, leaves the office of the Uganda Land Commission and other land offices powerless.
To discuss all these issues, plus many more, and we expect to get a lot of feedback, and we come up with a communique.
Vice President Jessica Alupo, who represented President Museveni, says it's better as a region to work on improving land matters as a key to development.
Land is a crucial factor of production with inelastic supply despite its increasing demand. With the rise in the population and the need for land for investment, there is need for proper planning across the region to manage this essential resource effectively. It remains crucial to us in the region to devise measures towards reducing land conflict and improve on securing land rights so as to spur sustainable development.
Uganda is hosting the 7 member states conference, which started on Monday. It is intended to devise means on how common people can access land justice. Hope Nyongereza, CTV PM edition.
A recent research that was carried out in all Intergovernmental Authority for Development member states found out that all 7 member states are facing similar land-related conflicts. The affected African states have now been urged to find collective efforts to tackle the problem. We have more.
This comes when Uganda is battling the Ebola pandemic that has caused a mini lockdown in Mubende and Kassanda district. However, Henry Okeloliem, the State Minister for Foreign Affairs, says Uganda is well prepared to ensure that the refugees follow all the guidelines that were put in place to control the pandemic.
The influx of refugees, the government has taken full charge of the influx of refugees, and the Minister of Health and our development partners are on the ground as we talk to ensure that these refugees are checked and identified properly so that those who or any one of them who has Ebola is immediately isolated.
Ebola has been breaking out in DR Congo on various occasions, killing hundreds of people. The minister says they are aware of this threat and they would not want the Sudan strain of Ebola virus to mix up with the Congo strain of Ebola.
We are aware of the threat that we don't want to mix up the two variants or traits of Ebola, so that we get a worse situation. So that measures are being taken and to ensure that those refugees are catered for.
Liam was launching the Miss Planet pageant earlier. He says contestants are aware of the Ebola situation in Uganda.
They are aware of Ebola in the country. They know how minimal the risk of catching Ebola is, and that's why they are ready and confident. And they know that the Ugandan authorities have taken all measures to make sure that not only are Ugandans safe, but when they come here, they'll also be safe.
These competitions will take place from November 5th to November 19th, and contestants will come from 80 countries of the world. The file was compiled by Sharon Twesije for CTV PM Edition.
That was Okeloriam speaking on the recent refugee influx in Chisoro district. PM Edition takes a short break, return with more after. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching a PM Edition. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries has announced plans to carry out targeted spraying of flies that have infested several national game parks in Uganda. The flies are just one of many migratory pests that Uganda has had to combat after the locusts. More details in this report.
The bite of tsetse is one of the most painful experiences in both humans and animals. Whereas it may cause sleeping sickness, tsetse are known to cause nagana in wild animals. While addressing journalists earlier today, Fred Wino Kyakulaga, the State Minister for Agriculture, announced that the deadly insects had been spotted in Uganda's national game parks.
We have started receiving reports of tsetse coming back, and my ministry is planning to do another targeted aerial respraying.
And there are also other tsetse flies that spread nagana in livestock that have been detected in areas neighboring national parks and in the national park.
According to the minister, government plans to carry out targeted area spraying of these pests to wipe them out.
We use ultra low volume, very low volume, so low and yet so targeted.
And we are mapping out the spread. And when we get the concentrations as required to effect that control using aerial spot spraying, then decisions will be made through cabinet and we shall be communicating to you.
According to officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, spraying has to be done carefully to avoid the destruction of surrounding crops.
I can inform you that one, we want to modernize technology. We want to use artificial intelligence. We want to use artificial intelligence. We want to use satellite technology for surveillance. We want to be even more specific to the target through such technology. We want to use drones.
The Ministry of Agriculture, along with the Desert Locust Control Organization for East Africa, have also announced plans to hold a summit to discuss ways they can control pests such as locust, tsetse among others, affecting the member countries.
The DLCOEA is a United Nations registered organization which was established by an international convention in 1962.
The Desert Locust Control Organization for East Africa in the recent years has carried out 67 regular sessions spraying pests that attack crops and animals. The organization consists of 9 countries, which include Uganda, Kenya, the United Republic of Tanzania, Eritrea, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Somalia, Sudan, and South Sudan. Sharon Twebaze, CTV, PM Edition.
Thank you, Sharon, for that report. Now, Uganda has joined the rest of the world to commemorate World Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Day with a call to women of reproductive age to ensure that they focus much on taking foods with folic acid in order to reduce the defects.
James Kadu, a secondary school student who was born with spina bifida. Throughout his life, Kadu has had to endure the trauma of stigmatization, but he says this will not deter him from pursuing his dreams of becoming a lawyer.
The reason why I want to study laws, I want to help my fellow students, my fellow friends in such condition I'm in. Those who can't speak for themselves or for themselves, want to speak for them.
Some of the challenges Kadu and other people with this condition currently face is access to facilities.
I find the challenge of going into the classes and what is they lack ramps, they can't access toilets.
James Kadu is just one of many people who were born with spina bifida and hydrocephalus who turned up today in Kampala to commemorate their day. World Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Day is commemorated each year on the 25th of October with an aim of creating awareness about the condition. According to Dr. Charles Solara, the Director Curative Services at the Ministry of Health, women in Uganda should focus more on taking foods with fluoric acid in order to reduce risks.
Pushed in a law to do food fortification where you add in folic acid and other micronutrients into the wheat flour and also into the maize grain. And the National Bureau of Standards is supposed to enforce these standards.
Dr. Olaro says 1 or 2 classes out of 1,000 children are born annually with the condition, and that the Ministry of Health has 3 major hospitals to deal with such anomalies, which are located in the cities of Mbale, Mbarara and Jinja.
We do not have pre-conception planning, but anybody who is intending to get pregnant should be able to take folic acid before and because it's critical in the first 1 month of pregnancy. What normally happens is that when people miss their period, they would want to wait for another month to confirm that actually they are pregnant. And by that time, by the time now you come, you're already over six weeks.
Ruth Naluja, the Executive Director of Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Association, says there is strong need to cater for the increasing number of children with the condition.
The infrastructure, the environmental accessibility has become a very, very big barrier to social inclusion of these children with spina bifida.
According to the Ministry of Health, between 9,000 to 4,500 children are born with spina bifida each year. The theme of this year's commemoration is a call for national action to reduce on prevalence of birth defects through food fortification, folic acid, supplementation and dietary diversity in the country. The file was compiled by Chris Malemu Semakula for CTV PM Edition.
You're still watching PM Edition. In news from the region, dozens of journalists rallied on Monday in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, over the killing of a senior Pakistani journalist by police in Kenya. Meanwhile, the 2 sides in Ethiopia's civil war have begun formal peace talks for the first time since the conflict started nearly 2 years ago.
The 2 sides in Ethiopia's civil war have begun formal peace talks for the first time since the conflict started nearly 2 years ago. The African Union brokered talks are being held in South Africa, where a spokesperson for the president confirmed the news. The fighting in and around Ethiopia's northern Tigray region is thought to have left tens of thousands dead. It has also created a humanitarian emergency in its aftermath. Soldiers from both sides, the federal government and Tigrayan forces, have also been accused of war crimes and carrying out atrocities. There are few details of what exactly is happening in the negotiations or what is on the agenda. The talks have been convened to find a peaceful and sustainable solution to the devastating conflict in the Tigray region and will end on Sunday. Vincent Magwenya, spokesman for President Cyril Ramaphosa, told reporters. The AU, along with the UN and US, has been urging the Ethiopian federal government to sit down with its Tigrayan opponents for months. There were fears that a recent resurgence of heavy warfare could aggravate the already catastrophic situation for civilians. A virtual blockade of Tigray has left millions in need of food aid as well as increases in deaths from malnutrition. Pakistani journalist Arshad Sharif died on Sunday evening after the car he was in sped up instead of halting at a roadblock near the capital, Nairobi. The journalist community in Pakistan is demanding an immediate inquiry about the targeted killing of Arshad Sharif in Kenya. Many political parties are also supporting this demand. The government of Pakistan must form a judicial commission to investigate the murder. Said Hamid Mir, senior anchor at GeoTV and Global Opinions contributing columnist for the Washington Post. According to the Kenyan authorities, the car where Sharif traveled ignored orders to stop and instead accelerated. Kenyan police expressed regret over the incident, saying it was a case of mistaken identity during a search for a similar car involved in a case of child abduction. The police shot dead the journalist and his brother, Kuram Ahmed. Sharif left Pakistan in July to avoid arrest following a citizen's complaint against him on allegations of maligning the country's national institutions, a reference to the military.
On the international scene, Rishi Sunak has become the new UK Prime Minister after meeting King Charles at Buckingham Palace. Here as well. Rishi Sunak has become the new UK Prime Minister after meeting King Charles at Buckingham Palace. In his first speech outside Number 10, the newly elected UK Prime Minister says UK is facing a profound economic crisis and that he has been chosen as the new Tory leader to fix some of Liz Truss's mistakes. The Prime Minister is now starting to shape his cabinet. In a short farewell speech earlier, Liz Truss defended her legacy of trying to push through tax cuts and said leaders needed to be bold. Sunak is the UK's third leader in 7 weeks after winning a Tory leadership contest triggered by Truss stepping down. Sunak has ruled out an early general election despite calls from Labour, the Scottish National Party, the Liberal Democrats and the Green Party. During the summer leadership contest, Sunak dismissed Truss's plans for instant tax cuts as fairy tale economics that would push up inflation. He cautioned that her plans risked higher government borrowing costs, a warning that resurfaced after financial turmoil following September's mini-budget did just that. Although he said he wanted to see tax cuts in the long term, he said bringing inflation first under control should be the priority. We take a quick break. Sports is up next.